The first thing you notice is the stillness, not the kind of silence that feels empty, but the kind that feels alive. Acres of rich California soil stretch outward, dotted with rows of herbs, fruit trees, and vegetables. And at the center of it all stands a warm, sun-washed farmhouse. Part creative retreat, part working farm, holy Kelis. This is where one of music's most distinctive voices traded the roar of the city for the rhythm of the land. A place where platinum records share space with copper pots, where songwriting happens between tending beehives and harvesting tomatoes. Kelis has always lived outside the lines. From redefining pop and R&B with fearless genre-bending hits, to reinventing herself as a trained chef and farmer, her journey has been about creating not just music, but a life with flavor and purpose. In this sanctuary, she raises her children, cultivates her own ingredients, and blends the art of sound with the craft of food. The farmhouse isn't just a home. It's an extension of her identity, a living, breathing testament to creativity on her own terms. Stay with us as we step inside this remarkable space, tracing Kelis's path from chart-topping artist to culinary innovator, and exploring how this farmhouse has become the ultimate expression of who she is today. Career legacy plus persona overview. Kelis Rogers has never followed a straight path, and that's exactly why her story resonates. Born and raised in Harlem, she first burst onto the music scene in the late 90s with a voice that defied easy categorization. Trained at the prestigious LaGuardia High School of Music and Art, she combined classical discipline with a rebellious edge. By the time she released Kaleidoscope in 1999, Kelis had already signaled she wasn't here to fit into any mold. She was here to break them. Songs like Caught Out There and Later, the genre-shifting anthem Milkshake, didn't just dominate airwaves, they redefined what female artistry in pop and R&B could look like. Kelis was never afraid to be bold, eccentric, even confrontational, at a time when the industry demanded predictability. But there was always another passion simmering beneath the surface. Between tours and studio sessions, she was just as likely to be found experimenting in a kitchen as in a recording booth. Food, like music, was creative expression. Deeply personal, rooted in culture, and endlessly adaptable. In 2008, at the height of her fame, she made a decision that stunned some of her peers. She enrolled in Le Cordon Bleu to formally train as a chef. While the world still expected club anthems, Kelis was mastering sauces, techniques, and the fundamentals of flavor. She began hosting private dinners, developing recipes, and eventually launching her own line of sauces, translating her fearless artistry into an entirely new medium. This was not a reinvention for survival, it was an expansion of self. Kelis wasn't leaving music behind, she was refusing to be limited by it. Her persona evolved from edgy pop icon to multifaceted creator, someone who saw no divide between producing a record and producing a perfect dish. And it's this philosophy, this refusal to be boxed in, that ultimately led her to the farmhouse. After years of city living, Kelis wanted space, not just to raise her children, but to raise her own food, to live closer to the earth, to taste what she created, to make her home a reflection of both her artistry and her independence. This isn't the story of a star retreating from the spotlight. It's the story of a woman stepping fully into her power, choosing a life built not on image, but on intention. Farmhouse setting and interior tour. Nestled in the rolling hills outside Los Angeles, Kelis's farmhouse feels worlds away from the city energy she once thrived in. The moment you turn down the gravel drive, the air changes. Quieter, earthier, scented with rosemary and citrus carried on the breeze. It's not just a home. It's a living project, a work of art in constant bloom. The property stretches across several acres, a patchwork of terraced gardens, fruit orchards, and small pastures where goats and chickens roam freely. Rows of kale, tomatoes, and herbs grow under the California sun, tended to by Kelis herself between recording sessions and culinary projects. A greenhouse at the edge of the property shelters rare seedlings, part of her mission to grow nearly everything her family eats. The farmhouse itself is an elegant fusion of rustic charm and global design. From the outside, it's all weathered wood, wraparound porches, and warm light spilling through tall windows at dusk. Inside, Kelis's eclectic eye takes center stage. The living room feels like a cross between a music studio and a chef's den. Leather armchairs softened by hand-woven throws, vintage vinyl stacked alongside cookbooks, a fireplace framed with Moroccan tiles. Every room reflects her travels: copper pots from Paris, African textiles draped across farmhouse tables, ceramics collected from markets in Mexico and Japan. The kitchen is the true heart of the home. Wide marble counters provide space for both family cooking and recipe testing. An enormous farmhouse sink overlooks the gardens, and open shelving displays jars of pickled vegetables, homemade sauces, and preserved fruit, a living pantry of Kelis' own creation. The bedrooms are cozy and personal, rather than palatial. Children's drawings line the hallway walls. Sunlight floods through linen curtains. There's a music corner with an upright piano and a stack of guitars, a reminder that while her career may have evolved, her first love has never left the room. Even the outdoor spaces are designed for connection. Long wooden tables stand beneath strings of Edison bulbs, waiting for summer dinners where neighbors, friends, and family share food grown just steps away. The property hums with life, dogs chasing each other across the yard, chickens scratching in the dust, the laughter of her kids mixing with the rustle of leaves. This farmhouse is not a set piece. It's not staged or sterile. It's lived in, loved in, and endlessly creative. A sanctuary where Kelis' artistry moves between sound, flavor, and soil without boundaries. Luxury lifestyle, personal philosophy, philanthropy. For Kelis, luxury has never been about excess. It's about intention, about living with depth, not just with shine. Her farmhouse reflects that philosophy perfectly. While her career in music brought her global fame and financial freedom, her true measure of success is how well her life aligns with her values: creativity, family, and sustainability. The trappings of celebrity, designer wardrobes, high-end cars, VIP exclusivity don't define her. Instead, Kelis uses her wealth to create a different kind of richness, a richness of experience, a richness of taste, a richness of community. This is a woman who walked away from the mainstream music machine at her peak to attend culinary school at Le Cordon Bleu. That decision wasn't about reinvention for the spotlight. It was about feeding her soul. The farmhouse takes that commitment to the next level. Here, luxury isn't measured by price tags, but by the ability to grow organic food for her children, to know where every ingredient comes from, to teach them what real abundance looks like. A basket full of vegetables picked by hand, a home-cooked meal shared with loved ones, soil under your fingernails instead of diamonds on every finger. But Kelis' sense of purpose doesn't stop at her own table. Her ventures into food, from her sauce line to her work as a chef, have always carried a larger mission: to make honest, flavorful, accessible cooking part of everyday life. She's hosted workshops, collaborated with urban farming projects, and used her platform to inspire people to reclaim their relationship with food. Even her philanthropy mirrors her personal philosophy. Kelis has quietly supported initiatives focused on food justice, education, and creative empowerment for young people. Programs that teach kids how to plant gardens, cook healthy meals, and dream beyond what they see in front of them. She believes wealth should circulate, should nourish, should make life fuller not only for oneself but for the community at large. The farmhouse, in many ways, is her manifesto in wood and stone. It embodies the truth she's come to live by. Success is sweetest when it's rooted in authenticity. By cultivating her own land, raising her own animals, and feeding her own family with food she grew herself, Kelis reminds us that abundance isn't about having more. It's about having what truly matters. Personal life plus what the farmhouse represents for her now. For Kelis, the farmhouse is more than a home. It's a statement of where she is in her life. A declaration of peace after decades of hustle. In her early years, the music industry demanded speed, movement, and constant reinvention. But this chapter of her life is about slowing down, curating each day with care, and choosing where her energy flows. Raising her children here has given the property an entirely different rhythm. Mornings aren't marked by press calls or red carpets, but by the sound of roosters outside her window and the smell of fresh bread rising in the kitchen. Kelis has built an environment where her kids see firsthand that success isn't about flashing lights, but about building something meaningful with your own hands. The farmhouse is also a sanctuary for her relationships, both with her family and with herself. After the ups and downs of love, loss, and public scrutiny, she's created a place where intimacy feels unforced, where friendships can flourish over long dinners, and where her children grow up grounded despite her global fame. This is where Kelis celebrates birthdays under the stars, where music plays softly while fresh pasta is made by hand, where life feels unfiltered and real. Professionally, Kelis still moves with fearless creativity, but she's no longer chasing approval, she's setting the pace. The Farmhouse represents that shift. She's not performing for the world, she's nourishing her own. Whether she's developing a new food venture, collaborating on culinary projects, or simply hosting friends from the industry, everything she does now grows out of this foundation of peace and purpose. This isn't a retreat from the spotlight, it's a reclamation of balance. The Farmhouse is both a literal and metaphorical homecoming, proof that after years of creating hits for others, Kelis has crafted a life that's a hit in its own right, a life that's about presence, not pressure, a life that says you can live boldly, achieve greatness, and still choose a slower, richer way of being. In the rolling hills beyond Los Angeles, where lavender fields sway in the wind and fruit trees line the driveway, Kelis has found something rare, a home that holds her history and her hope in equal measure. This farmhouse isn't just where she lives, it's where her legacy breathes. It stands as living proof that an artist can evolve without losing their edge, that success can be redefined not by louder applause but by quieter mornings. For Kelis, the same creativity that once electrified stages now fills her kitchen and garden. The same boldness that changed the sound of early 2000s R&B now shapes a slower, richer kind of life. Every plank of wood, every jar of honey harvested, every evening where music drifts out of open windows, it all reflects a woman who refused to let the industry write her ending. Instead, she wrote her own script, one in which art, family, and purpose coexist in harmony. When the cameras fade and the world grows quiet, this is where Kelis is most herself, grounded, joyful, and entirely in control. And as the sun sets over the terraced gardens, painting the farmhouse gold, you can't help but see it. This place isn't just a home. It's a monument to living well, loving deeply, and creating a legacy that tastes as sweet as the harvest she pulls from her own soil.